Currently, much of the news is consumed by stories of ISIS and their public executions, but what is the reason for their frustration, and who is to blame for modern-day terrorist organizations that originate in the Middle East? To answer these questions, we have to look back in time.
During the period between the 16th and 20th centuries, the Ottomans controlled much of what is now the Middle East. They ruled over the Arabs, but because of weak leadership, most of the population ended up as peasants without an education. Fast forward to 1914, when the Triple Entente, composed of Britain, France, and Russia, went to war with the Triple Alliance, which was composed of Germany, Italy, and Austro-Hungary. During World War I, the Ottoman joined the Triple Alliance, which negated British interests.
To prevent the Ottomans from fighting against the Triple Entente, the British persuaded the Arabs into revolting against the Ottomans in exchange for British support in forming their own country after World War I. The Arabs successfully overthrew their Ottoman rulers, but while negotiating their agreement with the Arabs, Britain had made other plans with the French to divide the land amongst themselves, breaking the promise they had made and uniting Arab anger with Western countries.
This plan was called the Sykes-Picot Agreement for the representatives who had made it. It separated the Middle East into spheres of influence and paved the way for its modern-day borders. The British also proposed to give Jews part of the land promised to the Arabs in a letter called the Balfour Declaration. This introduced a new ethnic majority and government in an area already occupied, which further increased Arab frustration. From this anger and frustration, ISIS later emerged with the goal of removing the borders set by the Sykes-Picot Agreement and forming a new Islamic caliphate, or a government based on Islamic laws. They are attempting to do this and get their voice heard through acts of violence and military force. In conclusion, although ISIS is fully responsible for its heinous actions, the reason for its existence can be traced back to the wrongful agreements made between European countries. The Sykes-Picot Agreement and Balfour Declaration betrayed the promise to the Arabs and relinquished their freedom to rule themselves, resulting in the anger that caused some extremists to form ISIS. It is important to remember that extremist groups like ISIS are a very, very small portion of the Muslim population and cannot be used to represent the religion of Islam.